Hello everyone, my name is Arfan. I am the CEO and founder of Avian Finsights Academy. As you know, this program is part of our expert talk video session. And today we have amazing guest from the SAP ERP Training Company. Her name is Nivedita. Nivedita is a qualified SAP program director, and she's engaged in the SAP ERP Training Institute in Sydney, Australia. Neve, welcome to the program. So we really appreciate your time and your love to hear from you for our audience regarding the SAP and your journey and why SAP is important. So over to you. I would appreciate, for the sake of my audience, you can briefly introduce about your career profile and your organization also, and then we can take it further for the SAP courses, programs, and the benefits for our job programs and the newcomers who wanted to join SAP programs down the line. Over to you, Neve, please.
Great. Thank you, Isa. Thank you for the introduction and opportunity.
Yep. So can you please introduce about yourself and your organization?
Yep. So before I go into sort of the presentations, a few topic areas that I'd like to discuss today. So just to introduce myself, my name is Nivi J. Raman. I'm the SAP Programs Director at Sydney Institute of ERP. And Sydney Institute of ERP is an SAP education partner since 2009. So we are the SAP specialist dedicated in offering various training programs and certifications to individuals who would like to pursue in the SAP environment. And I'll be going through a few different topics areas as what Isa has touched on, an overview of who we are as an institute, what SAP stands for, the benefits of SAP, why customers choose SAP, and the different career options that you can go for after completing training, the value of certification, and just a bit more of an overview of what we offer in the training as well.
That's great. So can you tell us regarding the Sydney ERP Training Company? I mean, what they do? They are the registered SAP training providers, I believe, in Australia.
Yes, so we are like an official SAP partner, partnered with SAP Australia. So since 2009, as an authorized partner, we offer various training programs. And as an authorized partner, we have that sort of affiliation with SAP to provide, the up-to-date certification training, so you can become certified in SAP and, globally recognized within the industry as well.
Yeah, as you know, I'm also a chartered accountant. I'm also FCA. So for me, or for the finance fraternity, why SAP is important, why I should not go to other training company or other ERP system or other ERP training and development organization. So why SAP is so important? So can you give some insight about why you choose or why you pick up SAP as a training and development company?
Definitely. I would say within the last couple of years, like if you take it maybe 10, 20 years ago, when you look at a lot of the job sites like Seek or Indeed, for example, my roles are advertised, but at that time, SAP wasn't really a mandatory skill. It wasn't something that was that important. Whereas now, if you go on, and I guess a lot of students in the community or professionals can attest to this, that when they go on job sites, they can see now that everywhere is saying SAP skills is required. They will say SAP skills is beneficial, or it has become more mandatory. So because of that, I think people can definitely see that there is a demand. So when they want to work as an accounting assistant, or with their accounting background, or a role in, say, within supply chain, whatever it may be, a lot of the feedback we get is, they look at the job sites, they see there's so many roles advertised, but every role is asking for maybe SAP skill set. So having the knowledge and skill set in using the system. So when the demand is quite high, and I would say in the industry, about 80% of the companies use SAP as well. So there's definitely a lot of supply and demand there. And I would say because of that sort of interest and demand, SAP is sort of becoming more popular and becoming quite important, a skill set to have. So based on that, a lot of the programs we offer, prepare you for the industry. So it gives you the right skill set so that you can definitely have that competitive advantage with not just the knowledge, but the certification as well, and really, develop your career in the industry as well. So definitely there's quite a huge demand for SAP. And I think based on that, the interest is there, and, we're sort of basing it on, I guess, people's interest and designing programs to prepare individuals for the industry in that way.
So, what are the benefits of SAP, or what kind of programs you have? Because SAP is a very diversified tool and portfolio, and the perception is that when SAP is the high-end industry software. So, what kind of programs SAP offers for the sake of my audience to understand? They are short courses, or they're advanced, or they're beginning level? Or, for example, if someone wanted to be a SAP consultant, for example, he wanted to make his career and a SAP ERP consultancy, which is increased after COVID-19 drastically because people are looking for the consultant. And but of course, so what kind of programs SAP ERP training or SAP company offers for the audience or for the users?
Sure, yeah. So in terms of training, you could say there are different levels of training. So if you wanted to, do training as a beginner level, or, or training at a consultant level to prepare you to become a consultant. So when you look at the industry, there are different roles that are there. Generally as a beginner level, you start as an end user, and that's considered as, as I mentioned, a beginner position where as end users, they use the system on a day-to-day basis, record all the necessary transactions. So it could be things like activities such as invoicing, or, creating orders, generating reports, that sort of a thing. So they're not really involved in the implementation side, and implementation side of SAP is what a consultant needs to know, what they do on a day-to-day basis. So in that sense, we have different training programs. So if you're looking at a beginner level for end user level, so we have the SAP short courses where it focuses on specific areas in SAP. I mean, SAP is such a detailed system, and within the SAP system, you have your different functionalities. So if you wanted to do any accounting transactions, or transactions relating to logistics such as sales or production or purchasing, or
Yep.
in different areas, customer service, project systems, and so forth. So based on all these different functionalities within the system, we have different training programs that cater to these areas. So if someone is working as, has a background as an accountant, they've got either CPA or, just completed a maybe undergraduate or postgraduate degree, and their focus is accounting. So they may like to consider the SAP Financial Accounting short course. So its introductory course will introduce an individual to the SAP environment and really have the foundation knowledge and skill set. So learn about the SAP environment, learn how to use the system, have that hands-on practice, learn how to go through the different screens, how to do different processes, like how do I create an invoice in the SAP system? How do I create a customer record? So various activities like that, which is necessary for an accountant to know, to work in an accounting position within the SAP industry. So a lot of the short courses will prepare you for that sort of specific, whatever your focus area may be. There are other short courses as well that we offer. There's another program, SAP Management Accounting, and then SAP Project Management. So in terms of this, to introduce you to SAP. Then if you want to branch out, you can go into more of consultant level, which would be like the next level up. So from introductory level, next level will be consultant level. And for that, we have an SAP consultant program where you can be more specialized in different areas. So if you want to become more specialized in accounting and become certified and work as an SAP consultant, then we have the consultant program, which will essentially prepare you to, you learn everything that you need to know to become a consultant. So we have specific programs that tailor for each type of role in the industry. So based on what sort of role you'd like to work in, the training is tailored for that. And essentially the training will prepare you to work in that particular role as an end user or as a consultant. Everything you cover in the training will prepare you for that.
You were sharing with me a short while ago regarding your presentation and regarding further insight for the SAP consulting program. Is it? Can you show it for our audience as well?
Sure, definitely. Yes, I can share my screen with you.
I have two questions. Okay, first go ahead, please share the screen, and then I will ask a couple of questions.
Sure, yes, please. Yeah.
Yeah, before you go into the presentation, I have two questions, especially for the consultancy side. I mean, what is the duration of those programs when someone wanted to become a consultant for SAP, for example, or what kind of prerequisites are required to be a consultant or to be eligible to appear for that program?
Sure. So if you'd like to do the SAP consultant program, all the prerequisites are covered within the program itself. So it's not a requirement that to know SAP beforehand. So anyone can do the training. So whether you're, say, as a student who is still studying or completed their degree, or maybe working as a professional in accounting or in sales or whatever specific area may be. So anyone can do the training in that way. So all the prerequisites are covered at the beginning. So when you start the training, you cover all the foundation units, essentially have that foundation knowledge first. Then you go through the core units within the training. So the training is essentially you learn A to Z, everything in detail, and all the knowledge and skills you gain from within the training, you can apply that to any role in the industry. So, you can be as a functional consultant or a technical consultant. And some of the slides that I'll be going through explain the sort of the career path within consulting as well, the different levels of roles in a consultant, in consulting. So so essentially the training is there to prepare you for that, and all the prerequisites are covered in the training. So there's no further training you need to do. It will just be the consultant program, and that will pay for certification, and that's it. So there's no further studies required in that sense.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much for explaining details. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Great, thank you. So as I mentioned early on in the introduction, so my name is Nivi Jayaraman, and I'm the SAP Programs Director at Sydney Institute of ERP. So we are the SAP specialist since 2009, dedicated in offering various training programs and certification. So today I'll be going through an overview of who we are, who Sydney Institute of ERP is, what SAP stands for, the benefits of SAP, why customers choose SAP, the different career options that you can opt for after training, why study SAP with us, and the value of SAP certification.
That's great.
So SAP stands for System Applications Product. It's a German product developed in 1972 in Waldorf, Germany. So essentially with SAP, it allows you to carry out all the business transactions within the one system. So rather than having multiple systems to manage different operations, so for example, companies may use Xero or Mile, for example, to manage all the accounting and say payroll transactions, and maybe they may use different systems for sales and other processes, whereas with SAP, all the functionality process, everything is integrated within one system. So it creates a much more efficient, very productive environment for an organization. And some facts about SAP is that there's more than 440,000 customers in over 180 countries, making SAP one of the world's largest enterprise cloud companies in the world. And about 98% of the 100 most valued brands, and 77% of the world's transaction revenues based on the SAP system. And based on the survey by Pearson VUE study, about 91% of professionals have said they've credited that training and certification is worth the time and the money, because the training and certification has definitely provided them with a competitive advantage within the industry to be upskilled and ready within the market as well.
That's great. So it's a very, very, very promising numbers.
Definitely, yeah. I would say the numbers are quite high, and I mean the demand it's been very stable within the industry as well. You could say that whether if you wanted to work in the field within accounting or say logistics or customer service, whatever area it may be, there's been a lot of stability within the industry, especially for SAP. If you look at 10 years back or even more, there hasn't been much of a fluctuation. So demand has been growing. And I would say even now, it's much more of a bigger growth than compared to if you take 5 years or 10 years ago as well. So here is an example of the different companies that use SAP, the different customers that you have there across various industries. So the different industry sectors would be like, for example, government, so financial services, manufacturing companies, retail, pharmaceutical, mining, oil and gas, and a lot of the transportation freight companies as well use SAP. So we have different customers such as like Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Coca-Cola, Gap, Pepsi. If you look here in the manufacturing sort of companies or transportation companies, so companies such as like Pfizer, BP, Shell, DHL, Toll, Then you have like manufacturing companies like BMW, Samsung, IBM, Siemens. And then if you look in the banking sector, so companies like JP Morgan, Chase, and other companies like Commonwealth Bank of Australia, Rio Tinto, and like NAB, for example. So there's so many companies out there that use SAP. And I would say the many benefits the customers find of using SAP is that it allows a more global integration. So if you have a bank, for example, they're located in different countries. So with SAP, definitely bridges the gap between different factors. So like it bridges, areas such as like currency, exchange rate, language, for example. So it creates a much more streamlined, efficient environment for all companies. Updates only need to be done once. So once you've done the full implementation of SAP, you only need to do essentially one update. You don't need to keep updating it on a regular basis. And it creates a much more efficient environment for employees to work in when they use SAP. Because with SAP, it provides much up-to-date, reliable information. Everything is streamlined, all the processes. And there's definitely a reduction in potential errors in the system. And the SAP system can also be customizable. So, I mean, every company is different. So every company has different specifications as well. So company can implement SAP based on their operations, so to create a flexible environment for the company as well. So you can definitely customize it, make modifications, changes, whatever is required. You can do that in a more effective, streamlined way.
Yep, fair enough. And it's a very diversified portfolio because I was trying to find out, I mean, all the industries they have covered, financial and the non-financial, FMCG, the manufacturing, that's a very good point. But generally, for my curiosity and for my understanding, for the sake of my audience, I mean, do you think the certification needs to be validated every year or every 2 years or every 3 years, or you are just once you finish the certification, then you're good to go?
Yeah, so it depends on, in terms of training, what course you do. So for any particular training course, you just have one exam that you'll need to do. And when you have passed that exam, you'll receive the one certification, and that is a globally recognized certification and valid forever. So there's no expiry date. For some courses, just in particular, if you look at SAP HR, within HR, you have add-ons such as, they call it as success factors. So within SAP success factors, you cover areas such as talent management, recruitment, learning and development, onboarding. So these are different areas within success factors. So for these particular training programs, you do need to renew your certification on a quarterly basis to keep yourself up to date in the market.
Oh, that's interesting. Quarterly basis.
On a quarterly basis. Every 3 months, you need to update it because there's always new releases. But this is mainly only for success factors. If someone wants to learn success factors, then that's the requirement. Every 3 months, you need to update your certification. And it's not necessarily like redoing the exam. It's very much like you need to do certain assessments. And then when you have successfully passed those assessments, then your certification is automatically renewed. So you don't need to resit the exam every time in that sense.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Nicolai, I have another question also regarding the mode of delivery of the courses. Generally, how the courses happen? It's a virtual-led programs or face-to-face or online, or it's a self-paced system-based program. So what kind of the programs structure is there, especially in the COVID-19 situation worldwide?
Sure. Yes, definitely. Like it's a bit unfortunate. COVID has impacted everyone really. And I would say as a result of everything has been sort of shifted to more of an online learning format. So with online learning, it's very much, there's a lot of flexibility there. It's self-paced. You can start anytime, complete at your own pace. So the schedule is very much up to you. So because it is online, if you wish to study part-time or full-time, it's up to you. So part-time study is about 1 hour a day minimum, and full-time training is about 5 hours a day. So at the end of the day, it's your choice. And I would say, a lot of the time, a lot of the course participants are either maybe working full-time or maybe studying full-time, or there's other commitments. So generally we recommend part-time study is the way to go. We would say it's more than enough, sufficient enough to complete the training early, and you will have enough time to revise and, prepare yourself for certification. So you don't need to sort of push yourself and rush through the training. With part-time study, it's more than enough to be consistent with the training and complete it on time. And because it is online, you will have access to tutors throughout your training. So in a way, it is interactive as well. It's not just yourself studying the training on your own. You do have access to the consultants and tutors to guide you, assist you, help you through with the training process, and prepare you for certification as well.
That's great. This is what I was about to ask. Another question regarding, I can understand it's a very huge portfolio of the courses, So generally, what is the duration of the courses? I mean, it's 1 month, 2 months, or how does it work? Or it's more than 6 months? So what's the duration generally?
Sure, yeah. So depending on the program, the duration varies. So for example, the short courses that we offer in financial accounting, management accounting, and project management, each of these courses, it's about a 1 month duration to finish the training. So 1 month is like, you could say the maximum amount of time, but because it is self-paced, you can finish the course within maybe 1 week or 2 weeks, but you will have 1 month access to the resources. So you can definitely take your time, study at your own pace, but with the 1 hour study schedule, I definitely would say it's feasible to finish within about 2 weeks' time, the short courses. Then if you want to go into more of the consultant program, for example, that will take a bit of a longer duration because of the content that you cover and, all the exercises, theory that you go through. So generally the consultant program, it will take about 2 to 3 months to complete part-time. So it's an average of about 60 hours overall for each course within the consultant program. But
can you talk more about the consultant program, which we touched base a short while ago? Can you talk more about what kind of consultant programs you offer? I mean, the SAP mode is available for the user, for the learners.
Definitely. So with the consultant program essentially prepares you to become an SAP consultant. So as an SAP consultant, you could say 2 streams. One is you can be a technical consultant, or you could be a functional consultant. So as a technical consultant, that is more focusing within the IT space of, say, programming, analytics, project management, for example. So if you would like to go into that sort of area, within that sort of focus area, there are consultant programs within these areas. So if you want to become like a developer, then there is a consultant program specific for programming. If you'd like to be a project manager, there's a consultant program specific for project management. Similarly, if you want to be as an analyst, say in business intelligence or data science, all these different areas, then you have a consultant program specific for that. Similarly, on the other hand, you have, if you would like to become a functional consultant is looking at more of the operational side of the business. So that's more into accounting sort of area, sales, production, procurement, human resources, for example. So for these areas, we have consultant programs which target specifically for accounting. So if you'd like to become maybe an accounting consultant, or more in sort of cost controlling or accounts payable or accounts receivable, then there is a program which is tailored specifically for that. And in a functional level, so these are the different areas, operational side of the business. And so these programs are quite detailed. You learn A to Z, everything in detail that requires you to become a consultant. And so you really go in depth within each area. So if you would like to focus on accounting, then you really learn in depth within accounting. You learn all the processes, but you also learn the customizing side of the system. So it's nothing technical at all. It's very much, a data entry functional base. So you learn how to implement SAP essentially. So all the necessary processes, settings in place that a consultant would need to know. That's what you learn within the training. So,
okay, fine. Lovely.
Yeah. Okay. So you can choose your focus area, and based on that, you learn everything that a consultant needs to know.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So just touching based on what we had discussed earlier. So here are common roles that students can apply for after completing training. So all of the training programs we have, whether it is the SAP consultant program or the short courses, or we have another program called Certificate in ERP, which focuses on accounting and payroll at a foundation level. So all of these programs will prepare you for all of these roles listed here. So generally when you start working in the industry, you generally start as an end user. As an SAP end user. So as an end user, it's considered as like a beginner position within the industry. So end users use the SAP system on a day-to-day basis to record and analyze all the transactions. So they do not get involved in the implementation side of SAP at all. That's generally done by the consultants. So once the SAP system is implemented within the company, the end users then use the system on a day-to-day basis and do all the necessary transactions. So as an end user, you could be, creating invoices on a day-to-day basis, or you could be creating sale orders, or creating requisitions, generating reports. So that's generally what an end user would do. Then next level up you have is power user and super user. So they have a bit more advanced knowledge than what an end user would do, but they work in sort of specialized departments and they have specific permission roles. So anything to do with, like, if it's a support issue, something in the system that needs to be resolved, sometimes the power users are considered as a contact person to resolve all these necessary issues. Then you have next level up is support. So support is essentially, an error may come about in the SAP system, it needs to be fixed. So who can fix that issue? So within support, you have 3 levels. So level 1 is considered as help desk support. And if help desk support, within level 1, this is done mainly by the power users and end users as well. So if level 1, the issue cannot be resolved, then it's generally categorized and given priority, and then whoever can resolve it, it's resolved. So it's moved on to level 2. The level 2 is essentially technical support. And if it still cannot be resolved in level 2 support, then it's then passed on to level 3. And level 3 is essentially your consultants. So you support and either functional or technical consultant who can do that and fix the issue. So depending on the issue, it's then sort of passed on to the relevant people to resolve. So in that way, quite a streamlined process in that regard. Then after support, you have team leader. So team leaders don't necessarily use the SAP system at all, but what they do is they provide the necessary knowledge to the consultants based on the company's specifications. So whatever the company has, in terms of their specifications, their operations, the team leader essentially discusses with the consultant and says, these are the, requirements by the company. Now it's, your job to build the system. So they give the specifications to the consultant, then the consultant builds the system, and the consultants then train the team leaders on how to use SAP. Then you have SAP consultant, which is considered as a higher level position. So as an SAP consultant, you're expected to have maybe 3 to 5 years of project experience at least. So the path we would suggest is, starting with an end user, gaining that experience, and then after maybe it can be a couple of months or maybe a year, you can then work as an SAP consultant because you would have that experience under your belt. And as I mentioned earlier, as an SAP consultant, you can work as a technical consultant or work as a functional consultant. And an SAP consultant, essentially, they build the system, they customize it, make any modifications. They also work in the sort of testing phase of implementing SAP. So they essentially build a system based on the company's specifications. I had a few diagrams here in terms of, the different roles that we have listed here. You can work in different industries. So these roles are catered to, like, if you want to work in a government position, or say pharmaceutical, mining, oil and gas. So within the different industries here, these roles are quite common, and you can, work in whichever role you're interested in as well.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you. So to go a bit more in detail within an SAP consultant role, within consulting, there is a career path, and this is quite common. This is like an example of trajectory on how long it could take within each role. So generally as a consultant, you start as a junior consultant to begin with. And as a junior consultant, they work as a shadower. So they're not necessarily too involved in the project, but they would support the senior consultant. And as a junior consultant, they support the project team during the initial stages of the project. And as a junior consultant, usually your role could be within, say, 6 months to a year and a half. Then you have a general term consultant. They work in the project team during the first initial stages of the project. That takes, say, 1 year, say 3.5 years. Then you have senior consultant. They work independently on specific tasks that they need to do. And as senior consultant, that's maybe, say, 2 years to 4 years. Then you have a project manager, next level up, where they, are essentially responsible for the project. And, the number of years within a project manager position can be, say, 3 years to 5 years. Then you have senior project manager. They're responsible for a collection of projects. And, that is like, say, 5 years and beyond. And then business unit manager, they're responsible for the whole team of consultants. And that's similarly about, say, 5 years and more that's required.
Maybe I have a question, if you allow me to ask here, so I can interrupt you. I mean, okay, I can understand the career path in consulting if someone wants to join, but what kind of SAP certification or support is available if someone wants you to join as a consultant and they want you to go to the next level? You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah. So to become a consultant, we would suggest the SAP Consultant Program that essentially prepares you to become a consultant. So that would be the program we would recommend to start with. And within the SAP Consultant Program, all the prerequisites are covered. So in the sense, you don't need to do any other courses beforehand. You can go straight into the consultant program if you like, cover all the prerequisites, the foundation first, then you go through all the core units. And within the consultant program, you can actually specialize in whichever area. So if you wanted to become a consultant and work in the accounting field, then you can do the necessary training within the consultant program to prepare you to become maybe a financial accounting consultant or a cost controller in consulting, whatever it may be. So similarly, there's various training programs that will prepare you to work as a consultant, and that you have the necessary certification as well. So generally for each program, to become a consultant, you will have only one certification that you need to do. And as an SAP consultant, you would be required to become certified as well. So that's where the certification comes in and why it's very, very valuable to become a consultant. So by doing that certification, you become certified. And within the certification, you can specialize in different areas. So if you wanted to be, yeah.
But okay, now the next question will be, what is the duration of that certification of that program for a SAP consultant?
Sure, yep. So for the certification exam, you can do the exam anytime. So it's an online exam, and everything you cover in the training will be tested in the certification exam. So the certification exam, there's no deadline. Whenever you wish to do the exam, you can do that. So what we would recommend is, when you do the SAP Consultant Program, say it takes about 60 hours to complete one course. So if your goal is, you want to specialize in accounting, become a consultant in that area, then you would do the accounting consultant program. That will take 60 hours to complete part-time. So after you've completed that program, which is roughly say 2 to 3 months, roughly, after doing that, you can then maybe spend a couple of weeks for exam preparation. So we recommend at least maybe say 2 to 4 weeks of preparation. Then after that, you can sit for the exam. So it's good to do the exam, you don't need to rush and do the exam, but we would recommend maybe after completing the program, spend a few weeks for preparation so it's still fresh in your mind, and then do the certification, because at the same time, you don't want to delay the certification for too long, because you want to, obviously be current in the market and get the certification done and not really maybe push it to too late. But that's sort of the recommendation we would provide. And based on a lot of the feedback we have received from students, we found that, that sort of timeline works. It works well, spending 2 to 3 months of studies and then maybe spending 1 month or less for exam preparation and then doing the certification. Then, the next step is, okay, then starting, to apply for roles and get into the industry.
Thank you very much, Nevi. I think we are running short of time. Time flies like anything when we talk to you.
Sure, yeah,
I think we might engage you again, especially for the career path in consulting as a SAP consultant. And we will like to have one session on this topic for our audience. Thank you very much today for your time. Our session got concluded. We are supposed to finish it up within 30 minutes as our standard time zone.
Sure.
And our dear audience, I think you must have enjoyed and learned a lot from Nevi regarding the SAP career path and SAP programs. And thank you very much to watch this video and keep follow us on our website and our YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Nevi.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Cesar, for the opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.